You're listening to Combat Zone 360, where we discuss everything military. Today on our show, we're discussing PTSD. Our veteran today is David Lee, musician Jesse Blaze Snyder, and producer Michael Naranjo. Thank you for joining me today, guys.
You're so welcome.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So what I like to do before we get started with everything is I want my listeners to know who they're listening to. So I'm going to start off with David, and then Jesse and Michael, you'll close it out. But I want you guys to be able to tell your story, kind of like where you come from. Did you play any sports in high school or growing up? Any clubs that you were in? And then we'll go from there. So you're first, David.
All right, sounds good. Too much sports growing up. Did a little baseball, but discovered girls my sophomore year, and just sports kind of fell by the wayside. Joined the military right out of high school. Served in the U.S. Army for 21 years, 5 months, 11 days, but who's counting? And I was a chaplain assistant for the first 14 years. Did tours in Bosnia, Afghanistan, and Iraq. And then my last 7 years was spent in recruitment, part of the U.S. Army Recruiting Command. Now I'm retired. I work as a workforce director here in Shelby, North Carolina, and just enjoying life, my brother.
Awesome. And Jesse, if you could tell us a little bit about where you came from.
Hey guys, I'm Jesse Blaze Snyder. I am a hyper overachieving workaholic, jack of all trades. I was a geek athlete in high school, reading comics, playing role-playing games, and being the captain of the football team and playing lacrosse and diving. I was a gymnastics coach. I'm actually a national champion semi-pro football player. I got hit by a car when I was about 11 years old, and the overachiever in me decided that nobody would ever find out about what happened. And I ended up going to the hospital for a couple stitches because I got took off my bike by some good pedestrians, but I did not complain or say a word about what happened to me. And I got hit by a car by an SUV. I was riding from karate to BMX that I used to do with my father. And I had a giant motorcycle helmet on the handlebar and got hit on my left side, did major damage to my legs, knee, everything, major damage to my shoulder. And of course, I was a little kid who just got hit by a car. And I pressed this moment of craziness down like, no. And in my 30s, it started just like coming out of me, pain. And I realized that playing football and playing all these sports, I was just masking pain that I've been experiencing my entire life. And past 10 years, I've been on the healing journey, figuring out what the hell was wrong with me, how I did this to myself. It's gone very much into my music and into so many of the things I talk about. I do a Twitch stream every week called The Live Stream of Consciousness with my good friend Michael Zinn, where I've been able to talk about some of these things, but it's very much related to PTSD, and I'm happy to be here to talk about it.
Thank you. And then Michael, if you can close us out with the introductions.
Hi there, my name is Michael Naranjo. I was born to an Uruguayan mother and an Argentine father in Rhodesia, 78 now, Zimbabwe. Came to South Africa, cut a long story short. It was quite a tough upbringing with my mom. My dad was really close. We were very close with each other. I was involved in a lot of sport, a lot of rugby. I enjoyed basketball. Went overseas, came back. I got married, got divorced. A lot of things in life happened, and to cut a long story short, got signed. Got the deal, in a band, and then I was faced with an accident, being hijacked and shot 3 times in a hijacking in South Africa. It happens basically every 14, 15 seconds. It's quite a high rate in South Africa. And so that was quite crazy in 2009, and that's where everything stopped. And I'm sure that the gentlemen that are all on this platform and everybody's watching, when I say that it stopped, that's when it happened. when PTSD kicked in without me knowing about it, what it was. Why would I react these ways? I fallen in love with a wonderful woman. God gave me 4 children from another marriage. And growing up, I realized that there's something that's not really happening with me. I was, how do I say, I was serious enough to look for help because I couldn't lose my first love, which is my family, the music, the relationships I have. And I had to go and find a way to function. It was very difficult. This happened in 2009 with the shooting, my dad passing the way he did. My father was murdered. And that was 2013. A lot of things. So Vaughan and myself, we started running something called the Reset Center. We just try and help people however we can with our giftings. If we were plumbers, we come do your plumbing at your place. But I'm a music producer. He's a concert promoter. He also does graphic design. But we also, we run a tight ship with whatever we can do. And what's happened is that COVID has just brought a lot of these things to light, especially in these times. My heart goes out to everybody that's sitting with us. I'm a late bloomer. I only found out this about 4 months ago, and I realized that it was a degenerative situation, and I didn't want to do that. So I needed help to recover my mind. I needed to scientifically do that, and through a lot of advice, people had told me about transcendental meditation and TM and what that does scientifically for your frontal lobe if it's a degenerative situation. So that, in an introduction, this is what we do. And we also incorporate music and do that sort of thing to create awareness for PTSD.
Yeah, we should add, meditation was a big thing for me as well. I thought I was terrified that I had the concussion disease that Chris Benoit had. The wrestler, he snapped and he hurt his whole family. It was very uncharacteristic according to so many people, but damage within the brain. And I would react sometimes so darkly. I'm just not myself. And I remember turning to meditation without telling anybody. But as soon as I read that meditation had been shown to heal your brain, I was quietly convinced that my brain was not doing well. And I dug into meditation. And when my brain got scanned, I wasn't so scared. I was still kind of scared to get my brain scanned, but it was 6 years later. And when I got the scan back, my scan had damage all over it, but all of the damage was very faint. It was all healing. It was all going away. And the doctor said that if it was true what I was saying, that I'd been meditating as much as I had, he imagined that it would have been much worse if he'd seen my scans 5 years earlier. And I just started doing that because I was living in fear that something was wrong with my mind.
Yeah. Now, what I want to do is I want to talk to David a little bit. So, David, I know you retired from the military. I know we served in Iraq together. Now, when you entered the military, what was your influence to do that?
Well, I mean, my mom was working 2 jobs in her home country, and I was being watched over by a guardian. So she was working 2 jobs just to get me through high school. So that kind of told me that college was not going to be an option unless I went and got it myself. So that's it's a funny story. My ex-girlfriend thought it'd be a joke to give the recruiter. Now I'm dating myself a little bit here. Give the recruiter my pager number or my beeper number. And so I see an odd number come up on my beeper, and I called it back, and it was an Army recruiter, and all he had to say was he was going to pay for my college. I was like, okay, sweet, I'll come in and talk. It didn't take very long for them to convince me, and I joined basically for the college money, and it gave me a little bit of direction as well. It was kind of like I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how college was going to be like, what I was going to study, and if I was going to go look for work or whatnot. So I just was like, all right, well, at least this is a path, So I jumped on that and kind of just rolled with it. And enjoyed it to a certain extent, and just got used to it. You know, you kind of get acclimated to that lifestyle, and you just kept re-upping, re-enlisting, looking for opportunities. And when you're in the military, you know, Jay, it's like once you hit that 8 year mark, you're kind of stuck. You're just like, man, I'm almost halfway there. I ain't gonna get out now.
Exactly.
You
There's
know,
no sense in it.
I'm gonna get that check, man. I'm gonna get that
Right.
retirement check. I ain't gonna quit at 8. So once you hit that 8 year mark, you're pretty much stuck.
Yeah.
How
Now,
does it work for somebody who doesn't know that with like 8 years or whatever? Because does it eat into what they pay for your college or whatever?
no.
No, not necessarily. So there's a few things. There's a few programs out there. There's the GI Bill that pays for your college once you get out of the military. But while you're in, there's something called tuition assistance, which basically they pay for your college, whatever you're doing during the time. So the whole time I was getting my education done in service, I got my associates, my bachelor's, and my master's before I got out. Uncle Sam paid for the whole thing. And I was able to transfer my GI Bill to my wife and my kids for their education. So you know, I was double dipping there.
I understand.
But the whole 8 year thing is this: when you hit 20 years in the military, you can retire. Now the rules are a little bit different now. They're doing some type of blended 401k style system, I think. But essentially, you hit 20 years, you can retire, and you can start collecting a pension right the month after you get out. And so a lot of careerist soldiers like me and Jay here, we you know, that's something we aimed for. We aimed for that 20 years. And once you hit 8, you're kind of almost halfway there. A lot of people enlist that first enlistment for 4 years, and then they re-up for another 4. So by the second time you're looking at re-enlisting, you're sitting at 7 or 8 years, and it's hard to get out of something that you've already committed 8 years to.
After you've dedicated 8 years of your life. And the good thing about it is because every year the Army gave us $4,500 to go to school that year.
Yeah.
So, and every year it reset to $4,500. So if you play it right, like David did, you can come out with your master's degree. But then you also have the post 9/11 GI Bill, which pays for 4 years tuition to any public school you choose, gives you a housing allowance, which allows you to pay for your housing, and allows you to you get an extra $1,000 a year to help pay for your books and everything as well. So the Army takes care of you. The military does take care of you when it comes to college and getting your education. And that's one thing I really enjoyed about it. I mean, I gave my GI Bill to my wife. You know, I got my degree while I was in school as well. So it helped out a lot. But David, as a chaplain's assistant, I know you dealt with a lot of individuals, a lot of soldiers coming in with PTSD. And how were you guys able to help them out?
Well, you know, we're coming in, the responsibility of what's called the unit ministry team, which is composed of me, the chaplain assistant, and a chaplain who's the clergy, is to not only be that religious service provider, the religious aspect, no matter what your religion is, to be that conduit. They also look out for the soldiers' morale and welfare and personal issues as well. Identification is the first thing that comes up. You know, it's not always apparent that you got soldiers that come in and see you and they're not quite sure what's going on, because PTSD, yeah, it's mental a lot, but sometimes it develops into the physical. You know, starting off with I can't sleep, or I sleep too much, or habits changing, can't focus. It affects a lot of different things, a lot of different physical things as well. So you know, doing much of the clerical and operational piece. The chaplain is the one that usually identifies all that, but we do see quite a bit, and it's not something reserved for just new soldiers, young soldiers. It affects everybody. We've had colonels, sergeant majors, you know, medical doctors. You know, these medical doctors that have gone to school for so many years, and you're thinking they're the epitome of professionalism and everything. They struggle too. You know, they've seen a lot of stuff out there. So yeah, it runs the whole gamut. It doesn't, affect just one group. It affects everybody.
Mm. That's right.
Thank you for informing everybody about that, because it does. And with your PTSD, how do you suffer from it?
Well, so it's I go through phases where it's kind of like it's a temper issue. I get short tempered. Things affect me more than it should. I get emotional about things. I get emotional about certain things. Probably way more than I should be, and I get irritated easily. And I say that it's not happening as much anymore, and we'll probably dive into that later on. But going through therapy helps. Turning to your support system helps. We'll probably talk more about that later. But for me, it was more of surgery, and it really came into effect that year after I retired, because they talk about transition out of the military like it's about finding a job or it's about finding your place. And a lot of it is that, but there's also this piece that they don't ever talk about. Pacing is different in the civilian sector. People operate different out here. Their pace is different, and it takes a little while to get used to. And I'm not saying the military way is the right way, because I'm in the civilian sector now. And it took me a good whole year to kind of transition out of that whole military mode and work at the pace of a civilian's pace, speak their language and kind of reintegrate into society almost. I don't want to compare it to like a prisoner being released or anything like that. I don't think it's that something as severe as that. But there is a transition period. It's not just about finding the job.
Yeah.
It's about, right. Yeah, it's something they don't talk about. They don't talk about it when you're retiring. They don't talk about that. They talk about, hey, how's your resume?
Right.
What can help you with your resume? Let me look at it. Let me fix you up a little bit. How's your VA pack? Did you get your VA rating yet? They talk about all that stuff, but they don't talk about, hey, you're the outsider here. You're gonna have to reintegrate into the system. You're gonna have to talk a different way, and you're gonna have to act a different way, and the pacing is different.
Exactly.
Everything's different.
And did you get your 20 years? What made you get out of the military?
It was time, man. It was absolutely time. I mean, did you ever do recruiting?
9 years.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure if your listeners know. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
But recruiting is a beast, as you know, and it's probably more stressful than any of my deployments I've ever been on. But the fact that last year and a half, when I was looking at the next promotion board, and they told me I had too much time in service, what that means is basically they weren't going to promote me anymore. That made my decision a lot easier. In fact, I was ready to get out at 20 instead of going out to 21, but because I took a promotion, I had to serve out that additional 3 years that took me to 21 and 5. Exactly. So I was anxious to get out. I was at that point. It was just it was weird that and you know this, and a lot of our counterparts are like this too. We're anxious to get out, but once we get out, for that next year we're kind of, oh man, I miss it. I miss that structure. I miss all that. That's why you see a lot of our counterparts trying to latch on to the last little bit of that feeling, when the best thing they can do is just kind of let it go and just kind of reintegrate.
Agreed.
And, yeah. And what's up, man? You ain't gonna grow the beard out? What's going on there, man?
Bro, I teach junior ROTC. I can't.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Sucker. Just tell me your special forces, man.
Right?
That's the trend right now. You see the boys over here. That's the trend.
I know. No, if I was in the civilian sector, I would.
Oh, there he is.
All right. Perfect.
I thought that was automatic.
No, video's not. Nice. So I want to get into a discussion with Jesse about his music and how his music really revolves around his heart and his, how he feels with his PTSD. And, the news was broken to you at the beginning of this podcast before we started recording that, 2 of your songs is going to be on Michael's album that revolves around PTSD. Now, could you talk a little bit about those 2 songs that are going to be on there and how they revolve around that?
Well, one of the songs is called Help Is Coming. And it's, ultimately it's about that, it's because really at the end of the day, so much of them are for me, because if I feel that I have a need for a certain encouragement, that makes me feel the need to add that sort of encouraging word to everybody's ear. And there was this feeling that I would have when I was having panic attacks and where things just felt so hopeless to me. And I just wanted to be done. I just wanted woof, I'm ready to go. Let me go right now. Just end this. This is too much for me and I'm good. And I was an atheist my whole beginning of my life. But I ultimately became a big believer in medicine, and so much ancient medicine and ancient wisdom. And as I've gotten into meditation, I've realized how big the mental game is when it comes to, life in general. But when you're suffering from post-traumatic stress, it doesn't matter how good you are about your inner talk with your brain. You will find yourself stricken and overcome by the same situation over and over again if you get triggered. And for me, it was a very simple trigger that happened because I really love my mom, really believe in her taste and her choices. If she says this, I'm it's probably a good reason. I trust her. So there were things that she said to me as a child that I took way, way too hard. Mm-hmm. And and I hope my mom never hears this because I don't want her to feel bad about it because it's it is what it is. You're a kid trying to honor your mother, and the experience that I had when I got hit by that car was that me being hit by a car would be a difficulty for my family, that I might have to go to the hospital, that they might have to pay bills that they couldn't afford, and that I was being a burden. And I am somebody, it's kind of stupid to say this about yourself, but I'm very noble. I really don't like things to be about me. I know I seem to be that kind of person. I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. It just so happens that I have to get up on stage and perform my things, and I've gotten good at that because the people around me are very outgoing. But I'm more of a kind of quiet guy, and I'm not by nature really looking to make things about me. So when I write songs, I try to make them as universally important and connected as possible. And when I came to the spiritual understanding of really what's going on the planet right now, and it's terrible. We know this. This is ancient knowledge. We are all representations of the polarized mind of God, the polarized mind of the universe. And it is neither good nor bad. It is neither right nor wrong. It is always essentially right and wrong, and always essentially good and bad. And we right now are taking our advice in our politics from the left and the right, which is the stupidest thing to do when you know that you're living in a polarized mind of God. We want the people in the middle with the big long beards who seem relatively calm and collected. We don't want all of the post-traumatic stress suffering crazy people on the left and the right, because I tell you what, that is who is there. People who are more self-aware like us are whoa, we're having a problem. I'm getting mad for no good reason. This needs to be, taken to a place. Now, when it comes to music, as I saw this imbalance in our society, I realized why I was so drawn to comic books. I've written for Marvel, I've written for DC, Disney, Pixar, all sorts of stuff. And I like comic books because they tend to be about the end of the world. Whether it's the end of an individual's world, they're about to be murdered or killed, or the whole country's going to explode, the whole planet's going to explode. Superman doesn't save us; everything is done. And because we live in a polarized world, there is the most to learn from real hyper polarization. And when I did this album called Blacklight District a little while ago, it was released as a comic book by Image Comics, and there's an EP. You can go online to blacklightdistrict.co, and you can listen and you can read still for free online. And the point of it was to connect this end of the world music thing to the music. I'm like, I want my music to have the same stakes that the comic books have. And you know what I realized when I was doing that is that we are so noble that we don't want to say, our friend was talking before about not wanting to compare himself to a prisoner coming out of prison. It's an absolutely wonderful comparison. It's probably the comparison that gets most to the most of it, because people are more aware of that, and we're just trying to connect you to an understanding. But people's nobility makes them go, well, I don't want to compare myself to some starving child in Nigeria over, I've been eating, it's been good for me in this way, it's been good for me in that way. But what that does is it stops us from properly acknowledging and connecting to our pain. And it's really a big deal when it comes to people like us, because I really believe post-traumatic stress sufferers are all kind of similar. We're people who are trying to, no, there's no time for that, because that doesn't involve me helping the others and making the world better. If I take time to take care of myself, well, then who will be making the world a better place? I don't know. And I'm used to trying to lead that charge. So, and people who want to do good and in general do good, we tend to really leave ourselves in the dust in terms of taking care of ourselves. And I saw, just in making that album, that I was leaving myself in the dust to a certain degree in terms of being honest about my music and being honest about who was speaking and what he was saying and what he meant. And what I meant was I wanted to die. I was the most sad you could feel, and I was feeling tortured, and it was awful, and I hated it. And I realized that there was a part of me that didn't want to say that, because I was like, well, you're not in a prison somewhere. But if I can't say it, who's going to say it? The artists have to say that. We have to be able to connect to these places, because it is a struggle for so many of us to connect to them. So, every time I would go and I would start to kind of pull the punch, and I'd be like, man, that's a bit weepy. That's a bit sad. That's a bit weak. I don't want to be so weak, or I don't want to be so honest about that feeling. I don't respect people who commit suicide. I have that feeling in me. But at the same time, I've wanted to die. I've wanted to die a lot more than I am comfortable saying. And granted, I never would have done it, and it would make me so mad that I wanted to. I'm like, I cannot believe this. This is so not me. I'm powerful, and I'm good, and I'm positive, and I am not that right now. I'm not that in this moment, and I don't understand. And I hate it, and I just want it to stop, because I'm not this. I'm not of this, and I just want to be free of it. And I wrote the music, hopefully, to help people be free of these feelings, because I came to understand that if you don't connect to these pains in a balanced way, if you never open yourself up to feeling what it is you should have felt before and did not allow yourself to feel, it doesn't go away. And you have to be able to touch it and not fall apart, you know, and if you don't, your body will force you to face it. Your body will go, sorry, motherfucker, and you will just start having attacks and moments of time where you're like, I got to get out of here. I need to go home. I need to lay on the ground. Like that drove me crazy. Being driven to the ground. I mean, like, seriously, it'll make me cry. Like, I haven't done that in a while. But that used to make me so mad. I'm a powerful guy. And I had to go to the fucking ground and put my head on the ground and like a kid, like a child. And I didn't even know what I was doing. Like, now I know that I was grounding myself. I was trying to connect to Mother Earth because I was feeling so disconnected that I was flying all around and I had to go to the ground. It's just so awful because so many of the people that I know who suffer from this, they're just like me. They're protectors. They're people who want to help and they want to do a good job. And in their private time, they're just stricken and hurt. And I think it's just because we don't want to waste time dealing with this frivolity that we think is just so, this is stupid. Yeah, I got shot. Yeah, I got hurt. It doesn't matter. It's all good. I just want to move ahead. But it's not that simple. We're not allowed to just move ahead. We have to process it.
You do.
And I put these words and the extreme words, and the reason why I believe it connects to so many vets is because I'm trying to process my post-traumatic stress that I caused myself by not being able to deeply acknowledge what I was feeling. And for every time that I went, no, you're okay, when I wasn't. And I needed to face those things. And I wish that I had this, really the deeper strength to face these things when I was a kid with my mother, when it was more appropriate for me to be like, Mom, I'm a kid and I'm hurt and I need a hug and I need you to put your arm on me and tell me that I'm okay because I'm in pain and I won't let myself feel it. You know, I didn't let myself feel it. And literally it's like to become an adult and have to be strong enough to be weak, you know, strong enough to be able to sit here and be able to cry, you know, because I know that anybody who's dealing with this knows what I'm fucking talking about. And it's awful, and it's something that we end up dealing with in private, and you know, we're the strongest people of the bunch, but we're handling it in a way that is destroying us. And I believe we need these strong post-traumatic stress sufferers, because we are the people who, if we can get through this, we have so much to offer. So many people. One of my good friends, shout out to Brian Burns, who is you know, from the military. He had a really terrible time in the military. He ended up being raped by members of the military and was really just thrown for a loop. I think he was so heartbroken that what he believed in hurt him, that it really like disconnected him from himself. And he ended up being put on all sorts of experimental drugs and all these different things. And this whole time that he's been going through this horrible experience, all I see him doing is trying to help other people, giving his money, all his money to all these people, like, because he's trying to save himself. And the only way he knows, like, he knows that being good is right. And we're right. You know, being a good guy, being strong, it's right. That's the right thing to do. You know, we're doing the right thing. But he doesn't know how to take care of himself. And he's going, well, maybe if I just do more good, like I'll just do more good, because I know on some level that's right, and that's what I'm supposed to do. And they tell you on this stupid airplane, you know, you put your mask on before you put your kid's mask on, because if in going to put your kid's mask on you pass out, what good are you to your kid? What good are you to anybody else? Exactly. If in going to help somebody else you fall into a terrible panic attack, you fall into a depression that where you can't move, what good are you? And this is the point that we are bringing ourselves to. It is so awful. We're so rough with ourselves that we bring ourselves all the way to this place where there is nothing for our bodies to do but start making us freak the hell out out of our control so that we might wake up and go, whoa, something is wrong here. Because I wouldn't have, you wouldn't have, none of us would have done anything about this unless it was a clear and present danger and we literally had to do it. I had to do it. I couldn't play with my children anymore. Yeah. And I said, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done? I can't do that. I have to fix this. I have to fix this. But no, it does it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you too. I mean, that's the main reason why I started this podcast, and I started the show that we did, Combat Zone 360, and it's all because, you know, a lot of people aren't as talented as Jesse Blaze Snyder. They can't write songs and go out there and tell their story like you can. So this is a platform for them to come on and tell their stories, what they've dealt with, how they've overcame these obstacles, what they're still going through, and educate themselves on how to deal with it. And one thing I tell a lot of people is you said this very smart thing about, you know, you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. And I tell that to everybody, anybody, if you can't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of others. And you need to focus on your own issues before you can handle anybody else's issues. And it's a huge thing that individuals need to overcome. And once you're able to overcome, or not even overcome them, but at least tolerate and handle your issues, then you can help other people with their issues, because you're going to be able to understand what they're going through. And, you know, what I want to do is, for the listeners, you know, I know you talked a lot about Carry Me Home, and I know you said it feels a lot, you know, like a lot of the veteran community can relate to this song because of the lyrics and what it means. So at this point, I want to play that song for them. And, you know, hopefully they enjoy it as much as you enjoyed writing it and as much as I enjoyed listening to it.
Yeah, you know, as I got really, as I started to connect to meditation, music began to come out of me. And I was on the table getting a massage, and it was like my fifth session. And I hadn't figured out what was wrong with me yet. And the person told me they were going to work on my chest. And I was like, there's nothing wrong with my chest. I'd never had an injury to my chest. My chest is fine. He starts working on my chest, and he is literally moving mountains. And I start to connect to what I have done to myself. And I mean, it took me a long time, but I can tell you that I convinced the school nurse not to tell my parents or put it on the medical record that I was testing a little bit for scoliosis.
Oh, wow.
I knew that it was going to take me out of football. And I think I convinced her, cried to her, promised her that I would tell my parents about it in the future, whatever else. I didn't even remember it. Scoliosis was a huge, like, basically, I'm the fastest guy on the football field, when it matters. And I was running on one leg. My left foot was out. I couldn't put my weight on my one leg. I didn't realize that until I was 30. Mm-hmm. And when I got this working, going on my chest, I came out of there and I wrote 3 songs in like succession, and they just came out of me. And Carry Me Home was one of those songs where I was just like, there was a part of me that felt sort of weak in letting the feeling of it come out of me. And I sort of wanted to reject it.
Yeah.
And then I went, no, if you can't say, this is how you feel. And if you can't say this, and it's the same lesson of the Blacklight District again, when I was writing about the Hulk and this song that I wrote called Green, I realized that just gave me an opportunity to say all the things that I really felt. And I finally said those things. And since then, now I really am good about pulling forth these things. And I appreciate what you said about so many of these things that have come to me. Because of my nature and so many of the things that I've been going through, I've really kind of sabotaged my music career in lots of ways. And I am sitting on so much music. It's so unbelievable. And I'm really good. And the people who know, they know that I'm really good. But because of the ways I've sabotaged myself, it's a very small pool. And over the course of this past 10 years, as I have been connecting and understanding and really like writing these things, it's broken my heart that I have not been able to connect with a larger group of people, because there are so many people who need to hear the things that I'm trying to say. I really am honored to be on the show in this capacity, and I hope it does connect with people who need to hear it, because
And I'm sure it's going to, definitely. And you know, I know we've talked, and we actually talked a lot in the past about the music that you do, and that you were not one of the musicians that really just did whatever because you didn't care to be liked. You know, you did what was really near and dear to your heart, and you were able to reach out to the fans that you do have because of what you felt in your heart, and that you put your life and soul behind your music. And in all honesty, I respect that way more when an artist puts their life and soul behind what they do, compared to somebody that's just in it for the fame and glory, you know. So
I have no interest in fame, only respect.
right. And trust me, you got it. I mean, you got it from me at least, you know. But it's like, that's why I enjoy listening to your music so much, you know, because it comes from Jesse Blaze Snyder and not from those producers and those record labels and those individuals that do that.
Well, trust that I have a production team in my head, and the main thing with the production team is that, you know, and it's what I learned from my father. You know, for those of you who don't know, my father's Dee Snider, was the lead singer and main songwriter for Twisted Sister. He's a brilliant songwriter, and when he writes anthems, the universality of what he is able to communicate just always grabbed me so much. And his songs, people like to marginalize Twisted Sister as a one-hit wonder or whatever. It's nonsense. They are at the very least, a double mega hit wonder. I Want to Rock It, We're Not Gonna Take It can be heard in stadiums around the world to this day, every freaking other day, all over the place. And there is a certain something when it comes to stadium songs. Stadium songs can be felt and understood by everybody. And no matter what I write, and I want everybody to understand this, I have never spent any time meandering in my backyard, with few exceptions. There's a song that you're going to hear, Get Smart, which is a specific song to some of my personal journey. But generally speaking, across the board, and even the message of Get Smart is a broader message. You know, Get Smart was a song about me taking my power and not allowing myself to be collapsed by what I was feeling, and about connecting to a higher source and getting wise to what was causing my pain. And it was a battle cry for others: get wise to what's causing your pain. You're powerful, and there's a larger force, and they want you to know, they want you to get the message that I've gotten, you know, to get smart and be strong, and, you know, don't be so humble, be bold, remember the lion, and don't just always be the lamb. You know, and that has been the journey, just getting this real message into the music. And I so appreciate you being able to connect this to an audience that I would love to have hear it. I know Michael as well. You know, he and I, that's how we bonded working on this stuff. We've never met in person. Me and Michael, we've never met in person. He's one of my best friends on the planet. Just lots of Skypes and text messages, and we've written, you know, albums together across the internet, you know, from love and passion, and really connecting over this mutual journey that, you know, I think we're all having. And you guys said it earlier too, about how we're all experiencing this. You know, everybody is experiencing versions of post-traumatic stress, and it's the canaries in the coal mine, the really extreme versions of it, that should be bringing it forth to help the other ones who are having the extreme versions of it. But this is information as we figure out how to help ourselves. The whole world can heal from paying a little bit better attention to the things that have really hurt them. You know, being a little bit more open to making sure they get their mask on before they put on their child's. And, you know, this is the shrinking parents, you know, they're just like doting on the other people and they whittle away to nothing. Like, you know, there are people who can take care of themselves and they last a long time. And we need to start teaching ourselves how to take care of ourselves emotionally, because that is the game.
Definitely. And I just to back up a little bit, I will tell all the listeners that, you know, I had the honor to hear Jesse sing one of his dad's songs, and he has such a powerful voice, and the way that he is up on stage is amazing. So, and that's the actual very first time we met too, Jesse.
What did I sing?
You sang your dad's "We're Not Gonna Take It."
Oh, nice. It's relatively rare for me. I break it out very rarely, but I do.
Well, it was at the thing in New York City where like all the artists came in and got matched up together.
Oh, was it like the Ultimate Jam Night, New York?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, cool. That's right.
Yeah, it was right before coronavirus.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to move on to Michael, and I really want to talk to you about, you know, the album that you put together that's based around PTSD. You know, what made you push that album and what made you move into that realm? I know you have a lot of history within PTSD, and trust me, the story that you told at the beginning of the show is just wow. You've dealt with a lot throughout your life, but I want to know where this idea, this album came from. And really, besides Jesse, who else is going to be on it and what can we expect? You're on mute.
All right, there we go. I'm back in the game.
Yeah.
My apologies, gentlemen, my good people. Okay, well, firstly, thank you for giving me this platform to just, you know, say a few words about this, what we're going to be talking about now. It kind of fell accidentally. I've always been someone that always tries to complete something that I start. And I've always been very, very hard on myself, especially with my work ethic. But what drove to this direction of PTSD awareness was I'm sure you gentlemen may understand what I'm speaking about. My windows of being able to function with clients, with people out there, your own children, your wife, your relationships with your friends, anything that you try and do, there comes a stage where that window starts getting a lot smaller and smaller. So my first and secondary addiction started kicking in, where I couldn't function without any assistance to get a lot of the work done that I need to do. And as Jesse said, I mean, there comes a stage where you can't help yourself. All you want to do is help others because you don't really know what's happening to yourself. And as I said, these things started happening a little bit more. I call them irregular inconsistencies. And I try and identify with these things. Went to an occupational therapist, did some cognitive tests with me. It was a grueling and it was a huge eye-opening situation that for all these years I didn't know what was happening with me, but it's called panic attacks. It's called anxiety. It's called thoughts of suicide. It's called you're not good enough. How can you help others if you can't even help yourself? It takes you away from that closeness that you have with your children. It destroys the intimacy with your life partner. It destroys intimacies in all levels, not just, you know, and you try and keep your hand above the water. You try and keep your head every day above the water. You learn to focus. I mean, this all happened before I could identify what was really wrong with me. So I only found out about this diagnosis about 3 or 4 months ago, if I'm correct. And I started talking to Jesse about it. Because Jesse and I, we're good friends. We don't just talk about music. Music will always happen. And I realized that I was on a really bad road. My wife started really worrying about me. I started taking walks to the beach, imagining myself that I should just walk in the water and never come back, because I cannot self-isolate any longer and be away from my family and not be, just not being able to function normally. And I've got a wonderful dog. She's an Argentine Mastiff, a doggo. She's recently certified a service dog. She's my wife and it's our family dog. I mean, our children and my wife, we've all been through some serious stuff in our lives. So through me identifying with this, I started opening up to my wife what was going on, and I think I can add the dots now. I know what was wrong with me. And I started looking at the productions that I was doing, and I thought to myself, my music's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. But it needs to mean something. And once I found out what was wrong with me, I wanted to enlighten people and create an awareness that we don't know what our neighbor has gone through. The amount of sympathy and empathy has gone out the window in the world. We are all living with trauma. We're all living with PTSD in many, many ways. So these artists I started reaching out to, I was, listen, I've got the song that we've recorded. I'm just going to put it out. And the song's actually called Soldier On. It's about, the title says everything. It's Soldier On. It speaks for itself. And it led from one artwork to the other. We started getting Trez to get on board with this whole thing. Vaughn here with CVJ Designs and the Reset Center, we started connecting and just looking at this whole differently. Through music, we can create awareness in a whole other way. Instead of feeling sorry for ourselves, this is a good way to identify, as you gentlemen were saying, Jesse was saying, you identify the problem. Look it in the mirror and you identify it. Now we know how to deal with it. And it takes brave people to stand with us. I can tell you that. My wife's one of the toughest girls I know. And Jessie knows her well. She's a little mountain, a little bull. She really. So the music all developed into all of that now, where we're releasing singles. We call it the Soldier On series. We've been bumping into a lot of artists here in South Africa. It's tough with the with the COVID and the lockdown. The musicians haven't had any relief. So it was my way of connecting with the artists that have been locked down from work, from their livelihood, and say, listen, man, you don't have to pay for studio time. Let's go on a 50-50 thing. Let's rock it. Let's do this, man.
Wow.
And if Disney picks up a song, you and I, we're smiling both together. Let's go all the way. Let's just do it. And they can't believe that I'm making time to do that. And I'm busy. It's so much joy to do that. It's so much joy to do that. It started with Jesse, to be honest, in 2016. Yeah. Jesse and I, when he talks about putting his head on the ground, he's serious about that, being grounded. For me, I need to get grounded. Besides being, I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. My head went to the ground when I couldn't anymore. And I asked God to help me. And that's the word that I can identify. Help me. I need help now. I need help. I have no other option. So I found out about going to TM and doing the transcendental meditation. I was a bit resistant to that in the beginning, but once I saw the result, it started coming from everyone else and not me. They found that I was a lot more relaxed, a lot more cognitively functional to be able to actually finish these songs, these mixes, this mastering, connecting with the artists, helping them. It allows you to have a different universal perspective of your situation.
Yeah. If it doesn't feel like it's right for you, it's right for everybody. It's just we're just used to working so hard and moving so fast. Sometimes it feels wrong.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes you got to stop. You got to stop this machine here. and I'm speaking from someone that has post-traumatic stress disorder. To say to your mind to stop, it's something ridiculous to say. I must tell you, through TM and through guidance and coaching and the assistance, that I was given a scientific analysis of how it works, how a degenerative situation becomes, it reverses a degenerative situation. My family can see it. And that motivates me. But, you know, you guys have been telling me about my story. What keeps me going is I've only been through a situation once where somebody shot me. Yes, it's serious. I know. Yeah. But you guys have every day woken up to stuff I cannot even imagine. That's why guys like you that help us go and like, man, come on now. Right. Thank you. That's why I said to you guys, thank you. Yeah. It wasn't just because of you guys serving. Yeah. It was because you guys are helping others that are rolling out with us. Because I'm sure if they told you that before you guys signed up, if they said you're going to come home like this, I'm sure none of us would have signed up. You know what I mean? But
right.
I'm back again, Brother Jay. How you doing?
You guys good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
Brother David Lee. To have in the house once again. What an honor. What a pleasure.
Yeah, no, David was a big, huge help for me while I was deployed. Trust me.
Wow. Brother David,
kept it live. He livened it up. He made sure we had fun.
Yeah, well, you know, you gotta play that Guitar Hero and
right,
and Wii bowling and a little bit of that.
Right. No, he kept us all engaged. He kept us our minds off of the things we didn't want to think of over there.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's part of it, man. You got to find that little something to kind of just hold on to. And even today, you know, you got to find that little something that, as goofy as it could be, you know, it could be something that's tied to your childhood or anything like that. And don't let anybody tell you that it's goofy or wrong. Hold on one second. I'm going to show you what I'm getting into now.
Nice. All right, Jesse, you're not on video right now.
Okay, I'll fix it. 1 second.
No, not a problem. Take your time, brother.
So many technical difficulties.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
But it is incredible.
No, either. Yeah.
No.
Wrestling.
Oh, wow. TNT, dude.
Yeah.
That's some NXT.
Next championship.
Holy.
There you are, brother. We got you.
Nice. I like me, Rhodes family. Is I, the American dream, son of a plumber. Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
Right.
Let's see. Do I have an old Dusty Rhodes? You know what? I've got one that he used to hold.
What?
Oh, yeah?
Oh, David is a huge wrestling fan.
Oh, nice. A lot of my friends are big wrestling fans, so I'm like vicariously a fan through. I was
right.
This is a belt you ain't gonna see anybody else really.
Wow.
It's cool.
That's insane, dude.
It's NWA regional North American title. Dusty Rhodes, Woohoo Calhoun. A lot of the old.
Wow, that's really cool, man.
So David, tell me, are we all gonna hook up at your house afterwards, dude?
Right.
You got to keep it light sometimes, man. It's you know, I stare at it. It makes me happy. You know, it's a reminder of my childhood. Some of the fun stuff that when you're a kid you can't really afford it. But now you can.
What?
You gotta do what you gotta do, man. I'm telling you.
There you go.
And don't ever feel ashamed about doing it too.
Dude, look how you smiling, dude. Look how you smiling, bro.
He loves it.
Look, you're a different man.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta do.
Yes. So we're gonna pick it back up, Michael. If you can continue.
Yes,
you
sir.
remember where you left off, right? You were saying thank you to us for what we do and all that stuff.
Yes.
Thank you,
What's up, Jesse?
I was trying to think of this earlier. This is just a silly little song that I wrote.
Yes.
But if it sticks with you, it was for me to remind myself that driving thing that I had to take care of myself first. And it just went, I am gonna save the world, but first I'm gonna save myself. And I am gonna save my girl, but first I'm gonna save myself. And I am gonna save my mom, I'll save my brothers and my sis. I'll save my father and his father too. There ain't nobody I will miss. But first, I gotta save myself. Yeah, first I gotta save myself. Oh, first you gotta save yourself.
I love it, Jesse. I love it.
It was just, it's a repetitive little thing, but I wrote it for myself to remember. Like, and whenever I'm like, getting overwhelmed, by circumstances that I can't control or whatever it might be, and I try to remind myself, like, hey, man, first we fix this. And I've been doing that, and I really I'm coming into a new renaissance of myself. My health's coming back. I'm going to the gym again. I'm really doing great. I spent the past 10 years suffering from chronic pain every day of my life and just grinding to get to the bottom of it. And there is, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And, I got a really great relationship that's helping me so much too. It's amazing when you have a supportive person who cares for you and knows what sort of a good person that you are and how hard you are on yourself. Because sometimes when you're somebody who's hard on yourself and you end up in a relationship with somebody who's hard on themselves, and then they're just hard on you as well, or whatever, or they're just end up focusing on the negative, where I think, people dealing with this, we need as much encouragement as we can get.
Exactly. Yes.
Michael, does that remind you of all the things you wanted to say?
Actually did. Thank you, son. Actually did. Thanks, son. Well,
yeah, you can
coming
actually
back to
teach your
Soldier On.
cadets that, you can use it as a cadence or something. When
Right?
y'all
No, I love it. I love it. Yep. Go for it, Michael.
100%. Cool. Thanks, guys. You guys all helped me out on this one. I completely lost my train of thought. Coming back to, I'll give you an example. Working with Jesse, I mean, all his lyrics are fire. Everything's fire. Everything's honest. Everything is, and I've never ever had to tell him, Jesse, I think, we had an A&R meeting and we think that maybe this song or that song or this, none of that. I think Jesse was the one that came to me and said, Mike, listen, I redid the vocals because I really want to get this song. I cuss on this one song, but it's really how I felt. But I think if we did another version, it might just spread the word a little bit further. And I said, Jesse, of course we can. We can do that version, and we got this version. And it's about making the artist happy. And Jesse he's always been happy. I've always tried my best to treat his music real estate with so much integrity. That's, for me, the bottom line. You know what I mean? That's all we have. That's always have is our word. And let's not go down Scarface Road. I mean, we know exactly what it means. So one of his songs, like I said, Help Is Coming, actually I started spinning on my phone because I needed to hear that. I mean, even though myself and Jesse put the song together, I needed to hear that. It was medicine for me. Get Smart, the other song, with the other artists. So what I did was, even though Jesse's got a full album out, it's online. I'm going to check it out. It's really cool. It's called Come With Me If You Want to Live. There are songs that I felt, I said, Jesse, listen, I think I'm going on a journey here, and I think people need to hear the true message of what's up with us, man. Maybe they need to fix themselves before they could fix anybody else. How do we do this? And we have music. And this, I hope this answers the question of how the music, what I do and what I ended up doing, even though with whatever has happened to me in the past, what TM has taught me is I got to check in with myself before I check in with anybody else in the morning. I got to check myself out before I check out myself, anybody else in the day, at the end of the day. And for me, it's seeking the kingdom of God first in the morning, and that sort of thing. I got a ship to run at the house. I got 4 teenagers and 1 young adult. So I needed to find a way how I could carry on doing this, but it needs to have a tremendous purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's happening. So the artists have been so good and amazing. Their response has been amazing to this. Some of them actually said that they need to just hold on a second. They want to do research first because they don't feel they've got PTSD.
Yeah.
The minute they do research, they realize they actually are full of it.
Exactly. Oh,
And you know what? And this is the road we walk, man. This is the road we walk. And we check in with each other. I check in with Vaughn. Vaughn checks in with me. I got friends. We check in. And Jesse checks in on me. I check in on Jesse. We check in on each other.
From my point of view, it was hard to admit it, even that I have PTSD, because I don't want to paint myself with the same brush as, for example, servicemen who've gone and actually been at war. How can I suffer with something the same way that you guys suffer with something? Because I've never been to war. So
Correct.
how can I say that I have PTSD when I didn't feel like that, you know?
And
took a while listening to the music.
It's brave to be able to connect to that and go, you know what, though? It's true. I see. You know, there was a part of me that did not want to admit that I have Asperger's. Like, I do. It's pretty clear to me that I was never diagnosed, and I learned to do things in enough of a way that I covered it up really good. I'm really charming, but I've always referred to myself to my family I'm a little bit like a robot. You guys don't. I guess people don't notice it about me, and it's why I'm as good as I am at a lot of the things that I'm good at. But on a certain level, the way I do things is very structured, and it's all of this quiet, you know, things that without understanding. You know, and then of course, one day somebody's like, "You got Asperger's," and you're like, "No, I'm," you know. But then you go, "Oh, wait a second," and it's more. It's about understanding yourself. Look, the spiritual journey. If you want to look at it that way, there is an answer. We're here to understand ourselves. You know, that is the journey. You know, if you don't have that to understand the why of it, it seems a little bit like, what the hell's going on? Why am I having to experience this? My mind and my fortitude is enough that I don't wish to experience this. I just want to be through this. So why is it that I'm being forced to toil in a place that I don't want to be? You know, that thing really seems like this is just like hell on earth. But that is the lesson ultimately, that it is a lesson for us to not put off the dealing of these deep feelings that we have, but it is to face them. And you know, I'm so happy that Michael put together this record, and it really, you know, I realized, as he said, you know, the title, it's called "Come With Me If You Want to Live." You know, it
Come on now.
This is like the precursor to the PTSD, you know, EP. It's all, and I mean, I think I had laid out at some point for Michael, the ordering of how I had seen it, you know, knockout, this is my promise, and this is the, and this is what you need to, and
you did, dude.
And this is what it all means, and this is it. Come with me if you want to live. These are the things that you need to know to live.
You did, dude.
Yeah, I love it too. And that's why I brought in a plethora of people within this interview, because usually I have a veteran on and we talk, but I know, just like everybody knows, PTSD is just not a veteran thing. And I don't just have veterans that listen to this, you know, podcast. And that's why I wanted both veterans and civilians on here. So everybody realizes that if you have it, it's okay. We just have to overcome and learn how to deal with it. And I'm so disappointed I'm not a musician, because I would have loved to have been on the album. But hey, not everybody has talent.
Dude, you guys are all in the band, man. We're ready in the band.
Oh,
Jesse's auditioning already.
Give him a triangle or something. Let him play
Cowbell. I can play the hell out of a cowbell.
need more cowbell.
You can never have enough cowbell, dog. You can never have enough cowbell.
Oh man. So when you decided to play Get Smart in the album, what made you come to that decision, Michael?
Well, I had made this music, and Jesse had bounced some ideas off me, and I said to him, Jesse, because what he does, he sends me little voice notes. I love this dude. He sends me little voice notes. If people actually know how we recorded this album, they're gonna be like, "You did what?" He sends me little voice notes, and he's making sounds, and I'm like, I think that's the bass, and I think that's the drums, and I'm trying to, like, in my head, I'm like forecasting, and I kind of come up with a little idea. I send it back to him, and he's like, no. That was actually the guitar, and the other noise was the bass. And I'm like, I swap him around, I send it back to him. Then he sends me back a vocal. And then when he sends me back a vocal, it's like, oh my gosh. I look at Joanne and my wife, I'm like, this dude is phenomenal. Joe, okay, let's just keep going. And that's what we kept doing. We just engaged each other as people. And how I stumbled across my boy Jesse was, I was on Facebook, and I saw a photo of, I think it was some gig that was happening, Whiskey and Go-Go. It was like a jam night situation, and Papa D was jamming, and Jesse was jamming with his dad, and there was a whole bunch of photos. I'm like, oh wow, look at that! Wow,
The one where
who's that big guy hugging that the singer's hugging the smaller dude? And then I saw photos, and I'm like, whoa, that's his son. And I'd recently lost my father to a really hectic situation. And I think that's where I would say the trauma latches onto an energy where you can draw from that's still alive, living, and positive, where a father can still embrace his son. Yeah. I took that picture, and I just typed in that picture and said, damn, this is the finest picture I've ever seen of a father and son. I don't care who these people are. I still said it. The next thing I got this young man Jesse in my inbox. It's like, yo, man, can we Skype? I'm like, what did I say? I'm in Uruguay in South America, and this dude in Los Angeles is like, I don't like what you, I don't know I don't know if he's gonna like tear me to pieces or whatever. So he says, hey man, hi, how you doing? Listen, I've got some ideas of some songs. And I'm like, this guy's talking to me like he's known me like since school or something, like kindergarten, like our friend there pulling out those belts. I said, gosh, man, he'd be like the perfect friend to come out. We're all meeting at his house, okay? We're going to go check out wrestling. We're going to go watch the whole SmackDown series at his house this whole weekend. And we'll go pitch it because he got all the memorabilia. It was like one of the best friends you could ever have. Jesse's like, dude, let's go make some music at your house. Cool. I'll see you then. Oh, we all go to his house. And we want to So to be honest with Jesse,
the problem is those people grow out of this, and unlike me, and then I'm all by myself having a good time by myself.
Oh, dude. Let me tell you, just connecting with Jesse with music and all that. What has happened is that I've learned that Jesse was on a journey, a very different journey than I expected most, I would call, artists or would go on. He was more on a self-reflective journey that many times, instead of us having meetings on Skype, we'd have 4-hour chats of like, you know what I did today with my kid? Or, you know what I did today? Like, it was crazy. And Jesse like starts talking about something else. And then I start talking about something else. We never got work done for at least 6 months. We were just like, hey, dude, how you doing? Or, dude, man, it's such a bad day, dude. It's just like, it's not happening. Just like, don't worry, dude, let's make a song. I'm like, cool, dude, let's hit it. So we've always had this little electricity of energy between us as people. And we've never had the opportunity to be in a studio together.
Yeah.
So I believe something that took us almost 3 years to record could have been done in 4 weeks with the pace that I was actually working. But our friendship has, I mean,
better too. I had to just go, okay, it's fine. It is what it
is. I'm just glad that I know that day will come, that me and Jesse will get into a room. I've told him I've got, I'd love to do so much more. But at this moment, the world's in a strange place. and we are the doctors of the soul. Jesse's a doctor of the soul as a musician. You know, I mean, I know what I used to do when I listened to songs when I was a kid. When I was when times were hard, I listened to Dry County, probably the best Bon Jovi song ever written. Dry County, including the whole long solo, everything. I was like, wow, the song had a story, it means something, it's got depth. And these songs aren't being like played anymore. They don't play it on radio, they don't play it anywhere. It's like it's not even in the Oscars, it's not even in the Grammys. These beautiful songs that are supposed to feed us souls, they don't play it to the people that need it. So these platforms are important. I'm really glad that Jesse's like an ambassador to all this. I told Jesse from the beginning, my guy, your voice. Don't tell your daddy, but I prefer your voice to your daddy's voice. And I probably will never get invited to dinner, but it's fine. I wish I did. I probably wish. I think I blew my chance to come at dinner, but it's not.
I would love to hear that my children's voices are better than mine. So hopefully, it as a compliment.
I'm sure he'll take it in a positive light.
Yeah, man. It's all good. Yeah. Thank you, Jay. That's about it. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Nice. And when is this album coming out, or what's happening?
Well, we actually, well, that's great. I can't disclose too much, but a lot of good things have happened in the past 3 weeks that I must still obviously disclose to a few people, including Jesse, my guy. But we are able to have a lot of control over our distribution through a company that's based in New York that is helping us sort out a lot of stuff, which, I mean, we just dealing with that today. So it's early days. It's we're very excited.
PTSD
it's taking it's taking it to the next level. But the music is going to be coming out very soon. I will be hitting Jesse up in the next week or two. We're just finalizing a couple of things, a bit of artwork. But it's in this month already. We have something that we'd like to, I think it's on the 27th. On the 27th, I believe, is also Post-Traumatic Stress Awareness Day in June, 27th of June. So on that day, we're releasing something called Soldier On, featuring Armand Groesbeek. He's a South African rocker himself and a tattoo artist, a very good human being. Being there for me when I needed to pick up the phone and say, hey, man, I messed up, or hey, man. And he's a good guy. He loved me through it, dude. And we need more of those kind of people instead of throwing us to the curb, you know. So he's going to be doing the first feature on a song called Soldier On, and I sing the choruses. So we're going to be launching that series. So the singles are going to be coming out sequentially, as they start coming in. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, as they come out, definitely let us know, because we'll update our description and definitely put that information in there.
Man, we're in the band now, so y'all will know everything that's going down.
Definitely. And we will promote it as much as possible, because there's a lot of veterans out there that suffer from PTSD. And
come on now.
If you guys ever need anything to handle anybody in New York, you guys just let me know.
Oh, cool. If I was Daredevil, I'd want to go fight some ninjas on the tops of those buildings.
Right?
Dude.
I'm with you on that one.
Wow.
Yeah, so
thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the firstly for having us on this. It's Jesse, thanks for hitting me up and just including us. Yeah, really.
Great timing.
I know, right?
It's incredible. It's incredible. I'll hook you up with all the links. I'll even send Jesse. I mean, I know Jesse also has a fantastic group of people that he sends all these things out to. But I'm really excited about this. It's
I think I probably a music video for Get Smart.
Yeah, that'll be great. We already got a couple of good people that decided to get on board on that one. We just Jesse's got his hands on that one, so you just let me know, young man, and I'll I'll cut some things up there for you.
Definitely. And at this time, we're gonna play Get Smart from Snyder, and then I hope you guys enjoyed this one as well.
And can I just say to so people have some sort of an idea. The deeper meaning within this thing is I've come to over the years as a straight edge person who did not drink, did not smoke, or I didn't do anything of any kind. I was not a partier. At 28, as an intellectual, I began to open myself up to the world of plant medicine. First cannabis, which was very helpful with my anxiety. I didn't know I had anxiety until I started to smoke marijuana, and I realized that I could be much more calm than I was. And then eventually, because of Steve Jobs' recommendation of LSD, because of creating Apple computers, I looked into LSD and ended up trying psilocybin because that was natural. And psilocybin was a very powerful experience. Psilocybin is being used to help people with depression. And again, I didn't know that I had depression because I wasn't facing these things. Yeah. And I sort of like came through it feeling just enlightened. And over time, not just myself, but my whole family, minus my father, my mom, myself, my two brothers, and my sister, we've all been working with ayahuasca, which is the mother of all psychedelic plant medicines. You know, most of us have gone to Peru to do it. We've also done some stuff out here in Los Angeles, and you know, very respectfully, shamanically, not like we're doing crazy drugs, but doing a drug that has been shown to help alcoholics and drug addicts kick their habits, that's been shown to help a range of different things. And this journey that I went on, though I'm focusing on the plant medicine aspect of it, it's meditation, it's Reiki, it's so many different things that I opened myself up to, acupuncture, all different things. But it was about getting smart and realizing that old school American, you know, everything American made's great. Everything that they thought of before America doesn't count. That's folly. The things that they thought of before America, they count. And it's really behooves us to go back and reassess this ancient knowledge. And that is what Get Smart is about. It is about me sitting with Mother Ayahuasca and drinking the ayahuasca plant and sitting with these spirits of this plant medicine and being shown how I was disempowering myself, how I was hurting myself, how this crazy polarity was making me go crazy, and how I wasn't taking care of myself and that I needed to face these things and come through the other end. There's a moment in the song where we say, well, we got bills to pay, we got things to do, we can't just walk away from the tried and true. We got mouths to feed and we pay our dues. So we may die buried in IOUs. And that's the fear of the noble person. You know, the noble person is that, no, there's noble things to do. And I don't have time to, you know, to get my ducks in order first. And it's like, nope. It's time to come and do what is hardest for you to do, and that is take care of yourself and bring yourself to a real, true place of power, because it is from that place of power that you are best suited to take care of the other people. And right now you're taking care of the other people before you're ready, and you're just dragging yourself down. But you are here to take care of other people, and first it's going to come from properly learning to take care of yourself. So that's the journey for me, and as a whole, and Get Smart is about that journey. And so much of it is about, you know, being told to honor myself and honor my path and know who I am and see myself in the light that helps me to breathe easily, and not see myself in the light that makes me short of breath and feel like I'm not good enough and I could be doing better and more and this isn't fast enough and I should have been further along by now. And, you know, this is the same sort of thinking that creates a post-traumatic stress sufferer, you know, as you don't have time to do the things that you really need to take the time to do. And then they become so big and so bad that, you know, the first time I meditated, I yelled at my ex-wife. Like, I literally came out of meditation and I was like, you fucking said something to me and you messed it up and I just was in there for a half an hour and I'm all stressed out and it's your, like, I did. Like, I sat for a half an hour in silence getting angry. And I came out of the room and I was like, in the room, don't do it again. So, I mean, it took me a minute before I was able to, like, because that's not my nature. And I don't think it really is. I think Michael had said something similar to me somewhere along the way of like, well, you know, I would have always said that meditation wasn't for me, but like, I feel like I've seen enough things, I've heard enough things that I feel like I gotta try. I gotta try to do it. And really, that's the thing. You know, we got to try something. Once we get to the point where we go, all right, I'm fucked up, and I got to figure out what it's about, and I got to figure out how to move forward from this place that I find myself in, because this isn't livable. I can't live like this, and I got to make some progress. So, I mean, I hope that people hearing from us today and hearing any of these songs, that it connects with people on that level, and you know, don't think for a minute of any of this song in particular being hubris. You know, this is a really humble man trying to empower himself to get through and get over these things that prevent us from doing what we're here to do. Yeah. Which is bigger and is more powerful than it, but we get so excited about helping others and putting ourselves, you know, doing the things, being commodities in the world, helping the world be additive, that we forget to do the things that we need to do so that we don't just drop dead one day of exhaustion. You know, we have to learn to keep the pace that we can keep. And because yesterday we never started that way, now we got to bring ourselves back to that place, bring ourselves back to a new place where we're still aggressive and we're still happy-go-lucky and we still are ready to help and we're still Johnny on the spot. But we know that if we're not feeling right, we take a break. We know that if we need a nap, we take a freaking nap. We know that if we need a cry or to talk to a friend, we talk to a friend. We don't just go, oh, well, no, I got to do this thing, you know. And it's hard for me. Like, you know, I work like a day job, just like for like extra bread, like at a collectible shop. And it's ridiculous. I hurt myself working there all the time for no good reason, just because I've got something to do and I want to finish it. I want to get to the end of it. And literally somebody will tell me in the middle of it, yo, Jesse, you haven't stopped moving in like 6 hours. Like, take a break for a second. And I will literally be like, yeah, but I got like, it'll just take like a minute, another hour, and I'll do the thing, and I'll do the fucking another hour of work, and then I'm leaving, and my back hurts, and I'm like, shit, man, I should have listened to Aaron when he said, take a break. He was right, and I didn't, and now my back's killing me, and that's the stuff, you know, that's the difference. It's the remaking Jesse 2.0, the Jesse who can chew bubble gum and, you know, pat his head at the same time. You know, I can take care of myself and I can also do the thing that I want to do and get all the things done. We can do all of it. Yesterday, we just didn't have any interest in taking care of ourselves, and we need to develop a keen interest in taking care of ourselves. And it helps, honestly. My girlfriend, who you see me occasionally making eyes at, she just brought me a coffee. So
I thought that was a mirror you were looking.
No, that's a mirror. She is so supportive, and you know, if you can get somebody who sees you for the hard worker that you are, and knows you at your soul, and isn't going to judge you when you take a nap, because they see what got you here, that you're driven, and that you've driven yourself into the ground, you know, and now the ramifications of that are in the offing. You're having to deal with it, and you're trying to heal and work back. And, you know, a good relationship in somebody who can be sympathetic. That's really the big thing. You know, it's hard for us to be sympathetic for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we can bring in a person who's unsympathetic too, because, well, we're not sympathetic, so that's not really a requirement that was needed. But because we can't be sympathetic, we really can use somebody else outside of us being sympathetic, because it's at that point where we go, all right, maybe I'm not crazy to allow myself to feel like this is hard, and that I am having a bit of a time, and it is not easy. And yeah, I could compare myself to the starving children wherever, but I don't have to do that, because right now my girlfriend is showing me that I'm being rough on myself. And it's not just me thinking, hey, maybe I'm being a little rough on myself. There's somebody going, you're being rough on yourself. You know? And then you go, okay. Okay, because really, I mean, it's if anybody leaves this show with anything today, you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of yourself, and you'll be amazed how much better you are for everyone else when you realize that you taking care of yourself are that much more available.
Yeah. Right. And on that note, enjoy Get Smart. All right. So we came back from Get Smart, is there anything so right now we're just going to close out. I'm going to have you start off, David. Is there anything you want to tell the viewers, any resources you want to tell them on how they can, get help with PTSD or anything else?
Well, I mean, that song pretty much states it, get help. Right. And for me, I was a chaplain's assistant, so that's a clerical position. I wasn't the guy jumping out of airplanes, kicking down doors, looking for the Taliban and things like that, But all it takes is one traumatic experience out there for it to affect you for the rest of your life. So don't think just because you're a certain way or your certain job, I wasn't Captain America out there, I wasn't doing all that, I can't have PTSD. It still happens to folks, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just because you're not that guy, it doesn't mean it can't happen to you. So at the end of the day, seek help. If you're a veteran, look for help. There's resources galore out there, and it's free for you. Just go out there, and when you're trying to be that alpha dog, and you're thinking, I can tough through this, I can tough through it. You may be able to tough through it. You may be able to get through it by yourself, which is fine. But going to see a therapist is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength.
Amen.
You talk to whoever you need to talk to. And for me, when I go to my therapist, it's not me breaking down and crying and telling them everything under the sun. He's showing me how to like tricks and visualizations and things like that. I mean, meditation may be good for somebody, but for me, it's visualizations. I'm good at looking at everything kind of like in my head, and just kind of the world's a stage.
I do
just kind of move the pieces.
Great.
Yeah. So the whole, hey, you've got something bad going on, just get that little vaudeville hook and hook that bad thing right off the stage, and then replace it with something nice. So things like that, visualizations and things like that, just little tricks to help me out. So it doesn't have to be a breakthrough every single time you meet. Little things like that help you out a big deal, and you just feel better. At the end of the day, you just feel better. So definitely get help. Go out there. Don't be, even though you could do it by yourself, and you probably could, but get help. It'll go a lot smoother for you. You'll probably get to your goal a lot quicker than you would have done.
Yeah,
definitely. And if anybody wanted to follow you on social media and find out more about the chaplain assistant, David Lee, where could they find you at?
Well, I'm not big in the public eye, really. I'm gonna start growing a following. I am the workforce director for Foothills region, and I cover 4 counties in North Carolina. Essentially, I help businesses and job seekers and training seekers with grants and just building the community. And it's like being in the military. It's about service. So don't worry about following me on social media. I'm nobody special, and I'm just out here doing my thing. But if you recognize me, definitely say hi.
Definitely. All right, and Jesse, how would you want to close out? What do you want to say to all the listeners?
It doesn't matter what happened. Doesn't matter why you feel like you have post-traumatic stress. Don't even get hung up on that for a second. Because honestly, if you walked across the street and a mouse came out and you got post-traumatic stress from that mouse, if that's true, I feel for you, because it's not fun. This isn't fun. And, it's a very unsettling experience. And I find it most unsettling for the most powerful and most passionate among us. And, you know, I really want to see everybody heal. I want to see everybody helped. When I find out that people have chronic pain, it breaks my heart, because I've dealt with it enough to know it's just torture. It's not fun. It's not fun, and you feel like you're all alone. And it's just the worst experience really that you can go through on this planet. I'd say maybe short of being away from your children, which I'm dealing with right now, which isn't fun either. But
Never is.
It really is a difficult thing. And don't be so proud as to not recognize who you are, because it will only get worse. Just blocking it does not work. You know, it just will eventually come to roost. And the quicker you can actively go, you know, there's a problem here and I want to address it, the easier it will be for you to address it. And, you know, of course, being consciously aware of what's going on with you and what's going on in your body and your mind is a huge part of it. You know, so perhaps just getting your awareness together and then listening to some music with the purpose of thinking about where you are and what you want to do and how you can change your thinking and where your trauma is coming from. You know, figuring these things out. You know, some people don't like to talk to therapists. What you know, was just suggested, visualization. Visualization's great. I did some visualization meditations just a few weeks ago that were really, really powerful. And I tend not to keep coming back to them because visualizations aren't super powerful in my brain. I don't see them very well. But whether you see them well or not, it is the most powerful thing you can do. I would recommend it more than meditation if you're drawn to visualization. Visualizing yourself calm, visualizing yourself happy, visualizing yourself not reacting to the things that you've reacted to in the past. You know, visualizing scenarios the way you might like them to be, as opposed to the way you've seen them before. Visualization is a very, very, very powerful tool. Meditation is sort of calming you down enough so that you can touch upon visualization. So to a certain degree, people visualizing, they're bypassing some of the meditation, you know, process to go straight into what most people would recommend for manifesting things, you know, laws of attraction and stuff, you know, they would tell you to visualize. So if you're looking to manifest money, you'd want to visualize. Well, if you're looking to manifest some peace and some healing and things like that, visualization is a really good way to do it. Yeah, I would really just encourage you guys to investigate Michael Naranjo as an artist as well. He's a producer. He's worked with so many people. He's written and co-written with so many people, but he also is an artist himself. And the post-traumatic stress journey comes through in his music quite clearly. I know he would just leave himself as just a producer here, but I really encourage you to check out what Michael has to offer. He's released a lot of stuff over the years. And then myself as well, please, you know, type Jesse Blaze into wherever you listen to music, and a lot of things will come up. And you know,
or anywhere, period.
Anywhere. Yeah, please take a look and a listen. And if you're a YouTuber, there's a cool series of videos on my YouTube channel. One for my live stream of consciousness, which is a show that I do weekly, which is a spiritual channel, which we talk about lots of things in relation to this kind of post-traumatic stress and ways to handle, you know, the spiritual world that we're really living in. But in addition to that, you can find these Blacklight District 6 issues comic book animated videos, and they're all kind of what do you call it, like PSAs, public service announcements for various problems, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress that people are having. And it's a really cool little series to watch through. You can check out the songs, which are all really straight from my heart, and I believe are really healing messages for people who are dealing with the trauma of the modern day. So that's it, though. Thank you so much for having us on. I so appreciate it. I know Michael will chat in a second, but this was wonderful to be able to talk about these things in particular. I almost didn't realize how skewed towards this my music is. like
Yeah.
talking, and I was just sort of like, I've done interviews about music before. I'm like, I never care about them as much as I like this one. You know,
Yeah, pretty much.
because I'm talking about it from more the perspective that I have on it. You know, I really believe that art is medicine across the board, and when it, you know, and if it's not medicine, then it's not art. And you know, and I try to make medicine for people, things that might do them some good, and it really makes me happy to know that this may be communicated to some people who could use the medicine.
Yes. And besides YouTube, what other social medias like Twitch or Facebook or Instagram would you like to promote?
On Instagram, I'm Jesse B. Snyder. And I'm on Facebook. I have a pro account that has like 15,000 followers. And then I have a personal account, which I think is Jesse B. Snyder or something like that, which I'm always like at the cusp of 5,000 people. But if you find me there, I usually get back to people and chat with people. So if anything I've said touched you, you want to reach out to me, I would respond to you.
Awesome. Now we're saving the best for last. You know, amazing stories all day long. You know, Michael, how would you like to close out this interview?
My dear friend, my dear friends, I'd like to close by saying how I, besides obviously with all the great advice concerning, you know, meditation and a lot of different ways to kind of, you know, looking for help, getting that counseling, getting the therapy needed for these things. If you have gone through something and you find that it's affecting your cognitive function, whether it's with your family, with your work, with yourself, with, you know, just you're finding that you can't sit still, you can't see it. It's not always little things that we need to go to the pharmacy for. It's sometimes we just need to do a little bit of introspect, have a look, and then we may find some fractured things that we need to start identifying that cause us to react the way we do, to cause us make decisions based on emotions and not on, you know, true reflections, cause us to react a certain way, and we realize that, hold on, why am I acting this way? It's becoming more prevalent. Becoming more, if you find yourself in a situation where it's you sort of feeling you're going under, and everybody is sort of noticing and withdrawing, and you may find that it could be you. It would be a good time to realize that we are either living in the past that is giving us these anxiety or depression, or we are living too far into the future that gives us panic attacks and anxiety, forgetting the fact that our present consciousness, our present state of mind will be our ultimate manifestation of what we are able to do if we have had a little bit of help, guidance, teamwork, people checking in. There's a whole system you can rally around a whole bunch of people. I mean, as our brother David said, there's a lot of information online that even myself, I'm a recent bloomer to the realities of post-traumatic stress disorder. In the beginning, it was hard to accept, knowing that you're not going to be the guy no more. That's just how it is. But there are ways that we can approach these things. There are ways that would allow us to realize that we have a second chance at doing this with a tremendous amount of patience with oneself. Mm-hmm. And that's being present. If you're walking your dog, if you're going to the beach, if you're spending time with your children, don't think about the next thing or think about the past or something happens, react on. It's so easy to do that, so easy to be reactive. I'm so hard to blame on that myself, but it's to have the visualization. That's something I learned today, is to visualize. And I think I've been doing both sort of, you know, unintentionally I've been doing both of them. And I realize that even at home, you know, I mean, our teenagers can say some things at home, and we know that, hey, you're going to go down that road. We know what it is. But sometimes on a bad day, these little innocent ways of our teenagers reaching out to us as parents, we need to be checked, because our reaction will determine how they would react in the future. We are setting the boundaries, and as parents, we need to check ourselves. As friends, we need to check ourselves. As husbands or wives, we need to check ourselves. Friends, family, we need to check ourselves. Compatriots, anything that we do, we need neighbors. We need to check ourselves. We're living in a very high, volatile society at the moment. The world has changed. Everybody's been squeezed right now. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're too far in the future, too far in the back, that doesn't allow you to live in the present, it'll be a good time just to ask a few questions, or maybe just search online and have a little bit of information. You might find yourself in a situation where you can identify. Good time to make the action and get help. That would be the one thing, especially, I mean, coming from us here at the Research Center, that's what that's what we advise everybody that we bump into, you know. And you can check us out. I mean, I am online. I'm very active online. I'm always promoting everybody. It's just on Instagram, it's michael.p.naranjo. And Vaughn is at CVJ Designs. And also we run the whole research center thing. We do a lot of, we go around and try and do as much as we can. But then we also have the DMT Artist group, or DMT Artist YouTube channel, where we have all the artists that we put online. You can find us on Facebook, Michael Naranjo. If any of our stories or what Vaughn or myself has been speaking about, if it's touched you, as Jesse said, please feel free to reach out. We do respond, and I can vouch for Jesse. He definitely responds. Jesse's on the ball. He's on fire, and just David and Jay, you guys are incredible human beings. We've never really met, but we are doing this together in different sides of this planet, and we know there are a lot of people that are listening to this, and there's a true sense of salvation needed. There's they want to save either the marriage, they want to save the relationship with the friends or family or kids. There's salvation and restoration needed. But it starts here. It starts in the tank. It starts, with us, and that's the way, man. I mean, we only here for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Oh yeah. Now, does your battle buddy Vaughn want to close out with anything?
Come on, Vaughn. Close off with something.
Bring it big. Bring it big.
On,
it's a nice if you're going through things in life that you don't realize or don't understand. It is nice, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, to reach out and see if there's someone out there who can help you, who can offer you some sort of advice or some, some guidance and give you answers that you may not necessarily have. Mm-hmm. And just finding the right avenues to deal with the things that are going on in your life, rather than freaking out or, having these moments that could be avoided by just going through the proper processes to deal with it. Reaching out to people, there's nothing to be ashamed of when you're going through stuff. Everybody in this world goes through things, and I think there's a lot of stigma behind asking for help that shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
very much.
Yeah, yeah.
If anyone needs to talk, as Mike said, we're found all over Facebook at DMT Artist, CBJ Designs, Michael P. Naranjo.
Yeah.
We're all over. Reach out. We're always willing to talk, because I would rather hear people's stories than be at their funerals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed. Absolutely. And what I want to do now is I want to ask for any alibis. And what that means is if anybody else wants to say something, now's the time. Come on in, Jesse.
Yeah. You just hit the nail on the head, Michael. But because I wanted to say this before, it's about feeling like a burden.
Yes.
Those who are suffering the worst are beasts who feel like burdens. And when we feel that way, the beast does not like it. And we really drive ourselves mental, and it can be really hard to reach out to somebody, and that's why we say something of like, it is strength to go to a therapist, because the whole reason why you did this to yourself in the first place was because you didn't want to be extra in a bad way. You were trying not to be an additional burden for the group. You were trying to keep those things within and go, no, that's all right. Everything's fine here. I'm not extra. I'm extra help. I'm extra available. And, really, you got to stop treating yourself like you're a burden. I mean, I'm saying this to myself, really. I know how much you want to help and you want to just like be effective and useful. I mean, really, like the biggest part of feeling suicidal thoughts was being frustrated with my level of use, that I knew how useful I was, but I wasn't seeing myself be utilized to the abilities, that I knew I had. And not only that, but I was additionally dealing with something that seemed to be stopping me from being able to get to the place where that was going to come. And every time it would come up, I'd be like, fuck this. This is just slowing me down, stopping me from being useful. I want to be useful. I hate being a burden. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to cry for a minute. I'm a burden. Oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to take a rest. I'm a burden. Don't go to that place. Realize that, you should have been taking care of yourself from the beginning. And it's this small choice that you made a long time ago that is what you are paying for now. And that in order to correct that, you're going to have to overcorrect a little bit. But that's just because you didn't do it the right amount at the time, and so don't let yourself feel like a burden for taking care of yourself and properly addressing the things in your life and in your mind that need to be addressed. Your friends love you and care about you, and they would much rather hear your story than attend your funeral. It just really just don't. If you start getting that energy of like, I'm a burden on my family, I'm a burden on this earth, like, no, you're not. And the mere fact that you think and are concerned about that demonstrates what little burden you really are, because most people don't even care, don't even think twice about being a burden. So if you're sitting there worrying that you may be burdening people, trust me, you probably have not been burdening people as much.
You're a warrior. Yeah.
Right. That's right.
Well, that's it. That's all I have to say. Thanks so much for having us on.
Yes, anytime. And I would love to do this again on other topics. I enjoyed having everybody on. And Jesse, I want to personally thank you for letting us use your music. Our intro and exit out of the show is actually Jesse Blaze Snyder's Knockout. So, yes. So,
your award-winning theme song.
There you go. Yes. Heard it here.
My friend Ranjo is the co-author and producer of Knockout, and so I had to get Michael's permission before I said it was okay for you to use it. So he heard of you a couple weeks earlier when I reached out to him about that. And we had just won an award for the South African Indie Music Awards for Best Heavy Metal Single. So that was pretty cool.
Amazing. And congratulations to both of you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And thank you, David, for coming as well. It was nice connecting with you again.
Yeah, thank you, David. Brother. Good to hear your story.
Yes, Brother David Lee.
Keep doing good work, man.
Anytime.
Yes. So I just want to say to any veteran out there, if you want to see us cover a topic, or you're a veteran and you want to come on and tell your story, please email us at combatzone360@gmail.com, and we would love to have you on the show. And until next time, make sure you thank a veteran. That's it. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, dude. Thank you so much for this, brother.
Come on. You're not a human being, you're just a piece of meat. You up the throat of this lion just so he could eat. Been hungry for so long, but when I hear my song, I know this ring is the only place I belong. I'm in the beginning of killing for a living. I'm breaking the hearts of innocent women. me what you got, felt everything you've been bringing, and I'm beginning to think winning is what I've been craving. Not misbehaving, I'm on the straight and narrow, shooting through to your car, cause I'm a bow and arrow. I got a full quiver, I will deliver, block out the whole sky with my hair trigger. Just wait till that bell rings. Blood, sweat, and tears all sting. I've given everything. Just wait till that bell rings. I'm like a man on a mission, a god with a vision. Born into this prison, I cannot risk this decision. I'm on the kick up a storm, hurricane without warn. While your vision is blurring, keep warring worse than before. Just wait till that